Tonight on Crime Fighters, hitting the targets.
Don't swear at me again.
You're under arrest for Section 5 public order, mate.
Take the smile off your face, 'cause it's not funny.
We're hopefully going to get that he's on his own. If 99 give us he's on his own, we're going to move forward. We'll get vehicles either side of the bus stop. We'll ask him to walk towards us. Non-compliant, obviously, use the dog and the bat and gun.
A man with a gun has been spotted in a Sheffield suburb. A team of South Yorkshire firearms officers have just minutes to decide their next move.
Obviously, he might have moved it in the meantime.
Local pedestrian and the public has just walked past him. We don't have any visual with the weapon.
Everybody happy with all the roles of responsibility? Yeah, you're going to draw your MP5 authority to draw them. We'll form up, back in vehicles, let's get formed up in order, and then we're ready to move off. We'll gear the move off.
He's on his own.
Strike. Okay, you have a bus coming on your near side from the junction, and also...
We're in the bus stop. Show yourself. We're on police officers. We need to talk to you. No reaction whatsoever. I can see the corner of his coat. No reaction whatsoever. Where's Brian? Have you got eyeball?
I can see the right-hand side of him. He's facing in towards the wall.
He's facing the wall.
99, this male is still within the bus shelter. He's concealed behind the wall at this time, looking down at his hands. We can't see what he's doing.
Yeah, subject's just waved at one of the officers and is now backed into the corner in the bus shelter.
Put your hands in the air!
Yeah, Tom.
I'm Chris, Tom. You can see probably we're on police officers. Right?
Bus, waiting for bus. I'm waiting for bus.
Just listen to me. Just listen.
I've got one of them.
We've got information.
I've got one of
keep
them.
your hands still.
I've got one of them.
Okay, point it down at the floor.
I found it.
Point it down at the floor. Thanks, Tom. All right, Tom. Don't panic. All right, I'm gonna come in here. Tom, I'm gonna walk towards you. Moving forward. All right, Tom. Don't panic. All right, you've got no problems whatsoever. That's not a real gun, is it?
Found it on West Hill.
Found it. All right, mate.
Not mine.
No problem. Okay, empty plastic weapon. Tom,
Have you seen one of them before?
It's
Have you seen
£2
one of them?
They're cracking out.
Two.
Yeah.
Two in
Listen,
one there.
Tom, have you got anything else on you?
£4.50 I've got.
You've not found any other weapons, have you?
£4.50.
Yeah. Right, I'm just going to search you.
Scared now.
Don't worry, listen. You're not going to come to any harm at all. Just don't do anything. Just do exactly as we ask you. Right, lovely.
Problem, tap the lads.
This event was not real. The man in the bus shelter is PC Mick Peckover, a firearms trainer for South Yorkshire Police. What we've just seen is one of many realistic scenarios armed officers are given to practice their skills without real-life threats.
How do we think the foot of this strike went?
Came round the corner and we were going on the uphill. We didn't actually have any visual any time midway until we got out of the vehicle. My eyes were Sierra MD-99.
Yeah, I like the way you dealt with me, as that person. In fact, it's the nicest you ever dealt with me, as any person. Well done, folks. Good morning.
South Yorkshire Police has over 100 firearms officers to deal with the growing problem of gun crime. Last year, they were involved in over 520 incidents. 6 teams provide immediate response to gun-related crime and other dangerous situations 24 hours a day. Sergeant Stan Smith and Tactical Advisor Richard Howson are in one of 5 armed response vehicles, or ARVs, on duty today.
Our primary role in any firearms job is to contain and negotiate. What we're trying to avoid at all costs is confrontation with somebody who's non-compliant and got possession of a firearm, because then, there's always the risk that to neutralise the threat we may have to shoot someone.
We attend a broad range of incidents, from the very serious armed robberies that might take place to shootings in the street. Often we have problems sometimes in some of the clubs in Sheffield occasionally, right down to domestic incidents where weapons are presented, and even the more innocent but potentially dangerous incidents where BB guns, replica guns or air weapons are carried by people in the street, and that's a real problem for us. And certainly BB guns in particular that are commonly available at your corner shop or your car boot sale are frequently in circulation on the streets. And when a member of the public sees a youth or young person holding a firearm in the street, a lot of these guns look like real guns, and potentially that is a problem for us when we deploy. We just don't know what that gun is until we actually lay hands on it, and potentially that could be far too late.
The recent trend in BB or ball-bearing guns is blamed for the 40% increase in reported gun sightings in the county. This is despite changes in the law that make it illegal to carry one in a public place.
It's very often a plastic or a base metal manufactured gun that is capable of firing by means usually of a spring-loaded action, either steel ball bearings or plastic ball bearings that can cause quite nasty injuries.
Teenager Luke Humphreys carries a constant reminder of the harm these so-called toys can cause. Whilst walking home with a friend along this path, he was shot at out of the blue.
So it just felt like something hit me in the face. And I just fell on the floor down here. And then I just sat up and I said, oh, I think I've been shot, and they're all blood on me.
The police came down to the house and knocked on the door, told me that Luke was at the hospital and he'd been shot. My heart sank, and it's like shot, you know, it's like terrifying, to be honest, it's terrifying.
They took me in for an x-ray. They were just a pellet just in my x-ray and just stuck in my face. And then this doctor tried to get it out, but he couldn't, so.
They've left it in and said that it'll either come out itself or it'll stay there forever.
Since the shooting, Luke and his pals think twice about being out in this area.
I don't really come out of school at dinner time anymore. Not since that, anyway. People that used to walk down here have started cutting the routes like onto roads and that now.
It could have killed him. It could have been blinded, so he'd be disabled for life. There's an awful lot of consequences that could have happened, so really he was lucky to have got away with that.
It's crazy, it's stupid, not to get locked up.
I think it's teenagers, definitely, and I think the mum and dad have probably gotten one of these, not even thinking how dangerous one of these can be. And they are, they're a weapon when all said and done, aren't they? And they shouldn't be allowed to have them.
South Yorkshire firearms officers come to this outdoor range to practice target shooting. So far, none of the officers have had to resort to firing a gun on duty, but they've got to be prepared. Armed officers have several guns to hand. PC Natalie Gilmore is preparing the self-loading pistol.
This is the Smith & Wesson 9mm SLP, which you carried on the sidearms the whole time. As you can see, there's no magazine in there. You would have 12 rounds in there. You'd put the action forward, clink, and every time you pulled the trigger then, the action would slide back, reload, eject the old shell, reload again. And that would normally sit in the holster, and that is how we would carry it on duty.
There's several ways it can be carried. It's carried in a holster, usually with us on duty holster that's held on the hip. So this can be drawn from under a coat. It can actually be fired from already having it out of the holster, depending on what scenario you find yourself in. And we shoot from different distances, from 5 metres back to 20 metres, and sometimes we experience further distances as well.
Okay then, gents. Let's go and have a look.
Richard?
16 in 1.
Where was the one, mate?
To what turn?
Not like you, that.
Combat shooting.
Good lad. Well done, mate.
Combat type shoot, and therefore you're not looking for pinpoint accuracy, you're just looking for hits on the major threat area if you want. They're going centre torso every time. because what you want to do is stop the threat that's in front of you immediately, because if you've come to the decision to pull the trigger, it needs to be stopped there and then.
In reality, that's hopefully the last thing that you're ever going to have to do. But because of the nature of the job that we do, then we have to come and train, and obviously you have to be proficient in using the weapon, so that if the worst ever came to the worst, then if you do need to, then yes, you would have to shoot, but hopefully that's never going to happen.
The MP5 we usually carry in the ARVs in what we call a gun box. The MP5 again is a 9mm. The magazine holds up to 30. You'd have the action forward, safety catch would be on before you fit a magazine to get a round from inside the magazine into the breech ready to be fired. That is now ready to go. We would never make ready while we're sat in the vehicle. As soon as you alight from the vehicle, if you're going to a job, it's make ready, and then you're there dealing with the incident. We generally use these on incident jobs.
You all right?
Yep. He's come out and seen two young men walking. One of them believes he's got a gunman in.
We just got the information that it's two men in the street, one believed in possession of a gun.
Yeah, he's gone inside the post office, yeah.
He's gone into the post office?
Yeah.
Have we got any descriptions?
South Yorkshire Firearms Sergeant Stan Smith and Tactical Advisor Richard Howson have just received a call from the control room.
Our only concern now is that one of these two males has gone into the post office, and obviously there's the implied threat that they've gone in with the firearm to commit some sort of offence. So we're just trying to find out exactly where all the other ARVs are and get them travelling, and I think possibly with a view to going directly to the scene. Roger.
Yeah, Zulu 2, can you initially look at white containment? Zulu 3, you look at black containment.
Sergeant Smith alerts the other armed vehicles in the area and directs them to cover the front and the back of the building.
Take phone.
Zulu 1, Zulu 3.
Yeah, Zulu 1 received. Zulu 4, what's your location, please?
M18.
Martin, have we got any contact with anyone inside? Yeah, boss, we've got cover on white side. Black side's imminent. We've got no one actually from the premises as yet identifying themselves. Can you make contact with them?
With armed officers in position, the post office is contacted. There's not been a hold-up, and with no customers currently in the shop, this means someone may still be walking in public with a gun.
Where have you just come from? From where?
Zulu 3, Zulu 1.
Yeah, can you just pass me the descriptions again? And you just come straight from news agents?
Yeah, just gone in now, just about 5-10 minutes ago.
Have you been at post office at all?
No, not today now.
Whose is the car? Is it yours?
No,
This lad?
Yeah.
Just come and stand here for a minute then. Obviously you're in the wrong place at the wrong time at the minute.
We're just confirming some details with the mother.
Don't even know what's gone on?
I have an idea, yeah, but I'm not in a position to tell you about it, am I?
You've nothing sharp in your pockets, have you?
Yeah.
They've all checked out, all their names and addresses and everything check. And we're
Roger,
reasonably happy at this stage, as happy as we can be, that not been involved in the initial incident. As a result of that, the FIM has then withdrawn our firearms authority.
Nick's just get some details off this chap here who says he's seen about 10 minutes ago a lad walking up there with a cap on carrying some kind of black pistol.
Right.
Roger, stand by.
Basically, we're going to have a look round for those descriptions that you've given us and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, general description we've got is white,
5'5".
5'5", medium build.
Flat face, he's described it as.
He's described him as having a flat face. I don't quite know what that means, but anyway, if you see anybody with a flat face.
The team heads off to search the neighbourhood.
We've now got information from one of the workmen here that he's, just prior to our arrival, he's seen a male and a female leave the direction of the post office, and the male's believed to be in possession of some sort of black handgun. As a result of that, we've now been reauthorised to do an area search with a view to locating this possible armed offender.
The helicopter, purely because of the fact it's got an aerial view and the power of the equipment that they've got, are able to cover a much bigger area than any number of vehicles could possibly hope to cover. So they may well be able to find somebody matching that description and direct the cars in. And he's just talking to us now, the helicopter. Yeah, Zulu 1 Sierra Yankee, go ahead.
More or less overhead, one of the full search of the area for you, see if we can find anybody matching the descriptions.
Zulu 1 received, thank you.
If we don't get any initial sightings, how long do you propose to keep the ARV crews armed and in the area?
Well, I'm just going to wait until the helicopter's done a sweep. I think they're going to give you a fairly substantial search, and then from there, if that's negative, we'll stand the ARVs down. I think the authorities can withdraw from there on.
Yeah, OK then, boss, we'll come back to you.
There's no sign of these people in the open. We're just going to drift across.
The search confirms there's nobody with a gun on the streets,
clear that area as well.
and eventually the team withdraws.
Listen to what P99 is going to say, is that search is negative, but I'll withdraw the authorities.
Post officers by nature are vulnerable to robberies, as the staff at Healy Post Office on the outskirts of Sheffield know only too well.
Just a normal September day, nothing fantastic. We weren't overly busy. It was a normal Thursday afternoon. My assistant was sat in the corner doing some paperwork and I was stood at the counter serving. And next thing, there was such a noise as these two men burst in balaclavas, a gun firing, and that's all I could register at that moment in time. Because I just hit the floor, hit any button I could touch, and crawled into the back, picked up the telephone on the way and rang the police. One had got a pickaxe and he was trying to get through the screen, and the other one was firing a gun at the side of a pensioner's head. And then they did actually take his pension money out of his hand that he'd just been given. And it was the noise, it was noisy. And of course all the bells were going as well, so it was very noisy. And then they must have decided they weren't going to get anywhere, so they went. It must have just been minutes, if that. But it's amazing what can happen in just a few minutes. I felt I'd went into automatic pilot and just did what I thought I'd got to do. I just got on with it. But you are frightened, you are scared about it, but everything's happening so quickly that it just happens and you just do what you've got to do. Police were there within minutes, and apparently within half an hour we'd got at least 60 police and the helicopter up and the dogs. And they were caught within the hour, 3 of them, and I think that's a marvellous response. And I do believe that the figures in South Yorkshire have really gone down over the last 2 years, and it must be down to this response team.
Bear with me one moment, please. That's £8.10, please.
We've got to have a deterrent, and I think that these didn't succeed. Surely that must be a deterrent to some of the criminals, because they were hardened criminals. Who knows what they would have done had he got through that screen, because apparently he got a metal spike in his pocket as well. And he got UDA and paramilitary training, so what were they going to do had they got round here? And that's something that we've had to come to terms with since. And I think that was the most frightening bit when we found out what hardened criminals they were.
4 men pleaded guilty to their involvement in the robbery and are currently serving a total of 59 years in prison. Where weapons are being brandished inside a building, there's a chance it could turn into a siege. This is something armed officers in South Yorkshire train heavily for, and where negotiation skills come to the fore.
Well, the biggest priority in terms of skills is communication, because very often incidents can be resolved just by tactically communicating with someone, but the firearm is always the last option, and the first option is always communication.
Oh, he's done it again. He's fired above his head again. Above his head, yeah. He says he's going to kill him. He says, you're going to get some of this.
In this training scenario, a jealous husband is holding his wife's lover captive with a shotgun.
Yeah, we've got a visual on the red side. We can also control traffic coming in from here.
Right! Mr. Roberts! What? Right, police officers! Come to the front door!
You could back off, please.
No, he's kicking somebody inside. He's either kicking somebody or something. Just stop! Do you understand me? Don't Don't point the shotgun! Keep it down! And come outside! Do you understand me? It's too late, got to go past that now! Shot fired!
Did you get eyes on that? Did he shoot it out the window?
Shotgun looks appeared to be out the window, yeah.
Right.
Control to Calibre 1.
Calibre 1, go ahead.
We considered the emergency entry tactics.
Yeah, Roger. The TA will get back to you on that one. Obviously, that's not an option at this moment in time.
Upstairs window's got both latches off.
Yeah.
Can't tell if the door's locked or unlocked. There's no sign of movement at all, Stan, at that upstairs window.
No movement at all. There is no movement on any feature at this moment in time. I can't treat it as an emergency entry because we haven't confirmed that he's out of action and incapacitated.
You're in the building! Town police with a dog! Show yourself, I'm going to send the dog in to find you. It's your last warning.
The dog's got a camera on his head and he gives us a first indication of once he's inside the premises as to if anybody's hidden or injured, anything that's going to cause any harm or injury to the officers that are going in with the firearms. And he's our eyes and ears really. If there is somebody in there, the dog will find them and bark at them, which again will give us a positive indication that there is somebody in there. And from a visual aspect, the dog searching with a camera on his head will tell us exactly where that person is. So if he's on the ground floor in the kitchen, I can then relay that back to the officers that's waiting to go in and say there is somebody hidden or injured in that part of the building.
Oh, police officer! Show yourself!
The dog camera reveals there's no longer a threat from the inside, which can only mean one thing.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So far, most incidents, or all incidents, have been managed safely and successfully without a shot being fired. But it's a case of training for that eventuality. We train for the one day when we might have to draw a gun in anger.